with that, Nick Wright, the foundation of first things first. Absolutely.
Yeah, but not the leader. Listen, I'm like Durant. I'm the most talented guy, but Kevin Wilde's the leader. I'll get you some buckets, but when it comes to planning, when it comes to direction of the show, that's KW. And when it comes to making sure we're on track, we have the conscience of the show, Brew. We'd be a great basketball team. Everyone knows their roles. So I'm Team KD on this. Who says the most talented guy's got to be the leader? Maybe he wants to hang out and, play video games or play poker.
That's right.
Yeah, to each their own. I just show up and get buckets, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So I said this about the Warriors. They've become a little bit the old, the adults at the nightclub where everybody's like, who smells like Old Spice? Who doesn't fit here? The NBA's
You're talking about me again.
Well, the NBA's young and talented, and the Warriors, Butler's 35, Draymond's 35. And it's like, if they lose to Memphis or they lose in the first round, we got to be honest here. It's over. Yeah. Like, you have to make moves on Kuminga or maybe a Draymond. What if they lose tonight?
Yeah. Well, if they lose tonight, their season's over. So, that's how damaging this week was. Because if they lose tonight, then the only thing Friday will mean is, did your season end in real disgrace with 3 straight losses and getting bounced in the play-in for the 3rd time in Steph's career? Or did you get a reprieve to now get to face a totally rested, totally healthy Oklahoma City team that will run you off the court in round 1? So tonight is their biggest game of the year because they lost their previous biggest game of the year on Sunday, which was their biggest game because they blew a game against the Spurs in Game 80 they had no business losing. But let me say this, Colin. There's a couple things about the Warriors I want to say, so if we could spend a little bit of time on it. One is, I owe your dear friend, Draymond Green, an apology. Because 9 years ago, Draymond Green in the Western Conference Finals, I thought, and I alleged, maybe even on your show, that he intentionally kicked Steven Adams in the groin on a layup, and it led to a flagrant foul, which then led to a suspension in the finals because of flagrant foul points. And my argument was, no player in league history has ever just kicked their left leg at 90 degrees on an open layup unless they're trying to do something. 9 years later, I'm proven wrong, because he did the exact same thing to blow the layup against the Clippers. That's how they lost the game, and there was no one to kick. So, Draymond, my bad on that. Evidently, that's just part of your foul baiting, and it ended up partially costing him the game. And the other thing I want to say about the Warriors, who now you're talking about, is it over? So I think Steph Curry is obviously one of the greatest players of all time. I also think that he's in this Goldilocks zone of when he's amazing, we talk about him, and when he scores 3 points against the Rockets, he doesn't make shows. That, I think, is really a nice spot to be in the discourse. Yeah. And he has been kind of universally put in, well, he's a top 10 all-time player. And again, it's in the margins, but I have him at 12. And the reason I'm bringing that up here is something happened at the end of Clippers Warriors that has happened to Steph a bunch in his career, and everybody just accepts it, but I think it's the barrier between him and the guys who are in the top 10. And that is, he was taken off the court by his own head coach because they wanted to go offense-defense, because at the end of a game, he is a true defensive liability. And when you look at, again, not that my list is gospel, but what I would say are your 12 greatest players ever, you will notice 11 and 12 have something in common the top 10 don't. So if you go LeBron, Kareem, Michael, Magic, Russell, Wilt, Duncan, Kobe, Bird, Akeem, and then 11 Shaq, 12 Steph. Again, that's no disrespect. You're at a Jokic, you're at a Dr. J, you're at a Moses, you're at a Jerry West, all those guys. Shaq and Steph are the only 2 guys in that all-time top 12 whose own team in huge spots late in games would say, we actually want you to sit this possession. For Shaq, it was because of free throws. For Steph, it's because of defense. And I do think that has to be part of the story when we talk about the guys who are in the GOAT conversation, who are in the top 5, are in the top 10. And so I'll say all that to say this. I think they might lose tonight, in which case this last week went really, really bad for him.
So I have pushed back. I think it was Stephen A. that started this, that international players, I think, can't be the face of the league. I disagree. I said this an hour ago. Conor McGregor, the UFC was never more popular than when Conor McGregor was the face. Messi is now the face of the MLS. And I mean, literally breaking gate records. I would argue Rory McIlroy, who stayed with the PGA, did not go to the LIV Tour after Sunday, is the face of golf. I would argue Ovechkin for the last 20 years is the most discussed hockey player with a Sidney Crosby. Ohtani comes up the freeway, I-5, is the face of baseball. My take is, if the Lakers won a title and LeBron retired, Luka, now hear me out, is the face of the NBA if LeBron retired. Why? Because they'd be a great team, he'd be a Laker, but Luka does something that domestic players do. He trash talks fans.
That's right.
He trash
That's the exact right reason.
He's us. He is not the international player that's polite and loyal. He drinks beer after games. They have to take it from him. He's yelling at fans. I think he is the face of the league. If LeBron retired him, I think international players can be.
So I think international players definitely can be, and I think that Wemby might eventually be so overwhelmingly great if he fulfills his full potential that he will be. But I agree with you that I think it has not really quite been that, in my opinion, that these guys are international players as the hurdle. I think the hurdle for face of the league, I don't think it's that complicated. I think that the biggest hurdle for everyone is that LeBron and Steph won't retire.
That's right.
Like, LeBron has been the face of the league for 15 years. And definitively for 10, arguably, probably inarguably, since he went to Miami and maybe a little bit before that. Steph, over the last 7 years, has kind of become the co-face of the league alongside LeBron. No one is going to supplant those guys. So that means Giannis's entire reign of winning MVPs and going to the finals happened when he wasn't even eligible for face of the league because LeBron's there. Joker has no interest in it. It's not because he's international. It's because I think basketball is his second favorite sport to horse racing. He's just better at it. So Joker's not interested. But Luka has the attitude. Luka has the swagger. Luka is polarizing. That's another important thing.
Yes.
You need people to hate you.
Yep.
Like, nobody hates Giannis. Nobody hates Jokic. Yep. There are some people that hate that Luka, including, evidently, the guy who runs the Mavs. And so that is a mistake. And so I agree with that. And now getting to the Lakers and being in these huge playoff spots, I think, yes, he is good enough. He has the right swagger. He is polarizing enough. There's enough holes to poke in his game to where he's interesting. Yeah, there is nothing better that could have possibly happened for the league than this player coming to this team in this moment. And it all happened because of the lunacy of one general manager who, by the way, Colin, J-Mac might include it in the news later. Nico Harrison just held an hour ago his first press conference since the Luka trade. And you know how I know he knows that maybe that trade was a bad decision? He held a press conference with one rule. No TV cameras or microphones. Old school, pen and pad. I'll talk to you guys, but you're not getting it on video. So I think he knows this is not going well.
I want to talk about something we infrequently talk about. In fact, I'm not sure we ever have, but it goes back to international players. Is that I think both you and I like progress in sports. I like new stuff. And I defended the LIV Tour. My takeaway is the PGA was a charity. They don't run the Masters. They don't run the British Open. They don't run many of the biggest events. So I was never loyal to the PGA. I was loyal to the players. And our government, has business in the Middle East. Why can't our golfers? I never thought the PGA treated the best golfers with the respect they deserve. So I was for the breakup because I'm for the athlete. And outside of maybe the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach and the Masters, I don't watch for the course. I watch for the players. But I was watching Rory this week, and I was thinking to myself, am I into Rory or the Masters? And it was both. But I can't, the last time I was this invested emotionally in golf was when Tiger won at Augusta, and I got super emotional. And I was sitting there watching Rory, and I'm like, wow, like am I going to cry here? I was so into it. And it had a little Michael Jordan feel where I watched him for years get tackled by the Pistons and the Celtics, so I was part of his journey. And I felt like I was like, dude, this is his 17th Masters. He's going to – what was your – I thought it was the best 5 hours of television I had seen in so long. Were you as emotionally invested?
So let me give you a little insight into me. So Sunday, as it happened, Colin, was me and my lovely wife's anniversary.
Oh.
And I don't know how you spent your, wedding anniversary this year, but I spent mine at a sports book in Philadelphia with Clippers Warriors on one screen and the Masters on the other. And because she's the greatest woman I've ever known, she understood. I'm like, listen, honey, I should have planned out the wedding date better a decade plus ago, but it's the second Sunday in April, which means occasionally it's got to fall on the Masters Sunday. And I thought that round of golf was so perfect to encapsulate his career, which was these moments of such brilliance where you're like, is he the best driver of the golf ball ever, including Tiger? Like, probably not, but maybe. With self-inflicted stumbles, he had two of the worst wedge shots I've ever seen a professional golfer make. And they were on the back nine of Sunday at Augusta. He tried to play 13 safe, gave himself 80 to get on the green in 3, and put it in the creek. And then, despite all of that, had a 7-foot putt to win the Masters and missed that. And despite all of that, came back and won the thing with as good of an approach shot as anyone will ever have on the playoff hole at 18. And again, there have been 6 people ever to complete the career Grand Slam. Sarazen, Hogan, Player, Nicklaus, Woods, Rory. Since the moon landing, 12 people have walked the moon. Up until Sunday, 1 had completed the career Grand Slam, Tiger Woods. And all those other 5, Colin, they completed the career Grand Slam on either their first, second, or third try at it. For Rory to do it on his 12th attempt to finally break through, and for it not to be smooth sailing, for him to be ahead, behind, way ahead, tied, and then blow it and then win it anyway. It's one of the greatest stories in golf history. And when you then remember that the U.S. Open this year and the PGA this year are on courses he has historically done great at.
Yes.
And the British is in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
His home, so it could be a really special year for a player who deserves it.
Finally, I said this, I think we all know this. It doesn't matter if it's law, real estate, landscaping. There's a top 5 or 6%. And I said, in the NFL, as I'm watching the same teams draft at the top of the NFL draft, I said, my circle of trust is 8 NFL franchises. They're not perfect. Yeah. They miss on a receiver or a quarterback draft, and they'll overpay. But owner, GM, coach, quarterback, Bills, Ravens, Eagles, Lions, Chiefs, Rams, Green Bay, San Francisco. Tier 2, they check a lot of boxes, but I'm not there yet. Denver, Seattle, Chargers, Tampa. I think Tampa for 10 years had a good roster. Minnesota, Houston, Washington could go to the Tier 1, but I need one more year. Am I missing anybody here?
So Tier 1 is exactly right. I think that's really well done. I listen, Tier 2, I'm just curious.
All right.
Is there a separate professional football league where the Chargers win big games that I don't have access to? Like, I don't know. Like, it seems like everyone in sports media gets beamed in different Chargers seasons than me for my entire life. It's like, oh, this is the year They're so talented. You got them on trustworthy franchises. I don't know, man. I've just watched, like, the NFL that I have, there's even a name for doing something the Chargers do. It's called chargering. The NFL that I have, we watched them hire the wrong coach. This time they got the right coach, but even he, hey, Justin Herbert, golden arm Justin Herbert only throws 3 picks all year, throws 4 in a playoff game, and they're going to now win the AFC West. I mean, it's just, so I agree with Tier 1. I just need to figure out, I pay a lot for Sunday Ticket. I need that extra tier that gets the second version of these Charger games that everyone else has, because I don't have it. The rest I like.
All right. I knew that was going to be the soft spot that you attacked. I had a feeling that was coming.
Yeah, well, exactly. You left your flank unguarded, my friend. I apologize. Good to see you.
First things first, my buddy Nick Wright. Great stuff as always.